So today we have Steve Schloss, the Chief People Officer of the USGA, who's joining us. Steve concocted a cool idea at the USGA, it sounds like almost 2 years ago now, and Metric Collective had the opportunity to play a pretty small part and ultimately was, it sounds like a big transformation for the people who took part of it. So wanted to have him on today, talk a little bit about how it went down, what worked, and kind of the small part that we got to play. So you could introduce yourself however you would like, and we'll talk a little bit about the program.
Well, thank you. Thank you for having me. Hi, everybody. So this is something that we came up with a couple of years ago as part of a transformation of the USGA, the United States Golf Association. And I'd say the simple goal was to solve one major issue, which is how do you take a 122-year-old organization and have it succeed in the 21st century? And another way of looking at it is how do you take and create a 122-year-old startup? So what we did was we took, and we will continue to do, is take a core group of our leaders at the USGA and put them through an experience which is approximately 15 months with the goal of helping them become more nimble in today's world, focused on two key areas, which is agility and resilience. And what we're asking them to do is to participate as individuals, as peer coaches, to be coached by members of the leadership team, to participate in a capstone project, which in their case they decided as a core group of 8 to work on together, to go through a process where they understand how to operate the range of agility and resilience. And what we're asking them to do is to do this in 4 areas. How to be agile as a person and how to influence others to be agile, how to be resilient as a person and how to influence others to be resilient. And the same thing applied to looking at the world internally and externally, to look at things tactically and strategically, and to look at change through the lens of incremental and continuous improvement change to disruptive change. And what brought us here to Metric Collective, which was a wonderful thing to do, so thank you for hosting us.
Of course.
Was to put the students in the position of being taught by a whole new group of individuals. By definition, a younger, more entrepreneurial group as part of Metric Collective, and to appreciate the fact that to disrupt, to be the disruptor, or maybe to understand how to respond to disruption requires a different mindset. And as part of a few days in the city where they were introduced to various forms of disruption, this was one part of the journey. And what they got from the experience, I think, was the recognition that they themselves could be disrupted very easily. All it takes is one smart individual to put something new into the system and that could affect them significantly. Or they have the freedom to be the one who can disrupt, and they should realize that really there are no boundaries. Sometimes the boundaries are just their own willingness to take the risk.
Yeah, and we were talking a little bit earlier off camera about the idea that in some ways it is kind of a shock when someone comes to this organization and from the outside, especially somewhere as experienced as the USGA. But you had also mentioned that you thought people kind of took away, wow, I'm not that different than this organization. And just curious, when you saw people jump to that, oh my gosh, I think some people look at tech startup and they're like, well, that's not me. Right. How did people kind of process that? You got to see them afterwards. I didn't get to see it.
Yeah, I think they, on the one hand, I think they were pleasantly surprised that the challenges of managing and growing a team and the behaviors of successful teams transcend all organizations. So that alone helps people understand that while the issues and challenges here are different, the fundamentals are the same. But maybe what they learned is that I can be smarter and move faster to still get to what I need and not lose anything about who I am or how I lead.
Yeah.
The other thing is the notion that taking risk is something you should embrace. And risk in our world could be intentional and measured willingness to take risk as opposed to just flicking the server on and off, okay? But helping people recognize that if I really want to affect sustainable change in the game of golf, we have to play the role of leading change. And each of us, the 8 of them, play a role in sparking that. And we have 3 core values called lead, serve, and inspire. And the value of inspire is something I think very much played here, which is how do I get inspired by seeing others disrupt, and how do I inspire others to think differently as well?
Yeah, so one of the things I've talked about before is you look at a tech startup and the word innovation jumps off the page, right? People can walk in here, I know you've now visited a couple times and you see it. For someone who would be a little bit not sold that the word innovation belongs with the USGA,
right,
can you give people an idea for the types of things that you're going for? What you see as the real opportunity for your organization moving forward at a 122-year-old startup?
Well, I'd say one of the things that we're doing is really doubling down on an investment in technology that allows us to engage more with our members and golfers themselves.
Great.
And how we leverage data to be able to understand more predictively as well as be more planful around the way we serve and bring value back to those that we serve themselves. That in itself requires innovation. We're about to introduce in another week a modernized recommended set of rule changes to the game of golf. The way we're going to deliver that, the way we're going to receive feedback, the way we're ultimately going to provide access to and help golfers apply them are going to be done through the lens of innovation and recognizing that there should be easier and frankly more inspired ways to provide what we deliver to the game in ways that will make the golf experience better.
Yeah.
Another example of innovation is an app that we created that we're just rolling out for facilities that helps them understand how to apply better time, effort, labor, and cost towards the way they manage the process of just mowing patterns on a golf course, okay? And using tools to help them conserve water more effectively and helping them understand that as long as there's a viable place to play, you need to consider all the factors. And we want to provide technology to help them do that better.
Of course, of course. The last question, I guess, is a lot of people who will be seeing this have never been to a tech startup. They've never seen what I get to experience on a daily basis, and throughout the course of your career you've seen. How would you describe this type of place and this type of environment? You've now seen it a certain way to someone who've maybe only seen a movie or two or only read an article about how millennials are the worst. We're not that bad, I promise. But how would you kind of describe what happens here to someone who may not have seen it?
I mean, when you walk in the door here, what you sense is passion, unity, a sense of purpose, a sense that there's something that we're trying to achieve that is not great, it's outstanding. And the feeling that we're in the position to help disrupt something, and it may not go right each day.
It won't go right each day.
Exactly. And so we're willing to accept that and live in that and experiment and be free to do so. And in some ways, that mindset is something that most organizations should have, quite frankly, as long as they stay true to their values and who they are and are consistent. But those beliefs tend to permeate the space when we were here, and members of the team certainly noticed that in the time that they spent here.
Great. Great. Well, thank you so much for coming. We appreciate our time. Every minute we've had the chance to spend together, and hopefully we catch you again in the future.
We just might be back.
Awesome, sir.
Thank you
very much.
Appreciate it.